All right, so let's talk about hypnosis and what it is and a little bit about what it isn't. And so next slide there, please, Stephen. All right, so we have a conscious mind, and there's, for as many hypnotherapists are there in the world, you'll find a different model, and we all have our own takes, and the reality is nobody really knows. But this is a model that I always almost consider it a metaphor that works really well for me. It works well for my clients, and it's pretty much how I teach any of my students in my school. But we have a conscious mind, and the conscious mind is the rational, analytical mind. It's the mind that it's the Spock mind. It's that mind that knows that 2 plus 2 equal 4. It's just very rational and very analytical. It's the home of willpower. It's that part of us that says, okay, I'm going on a diet. I'm not going to eat that ice cream. I'm not going to eat that ice cream. I'm not going to eat that ice cream. And pretty soon we're fantasizing about the ice cream in the freezer. And before we know it, we've eaten a pint of ice cream. And the conscious mind is also home of temporary memory. And when I'm with new folks, I always ask, what do you suppose temporary memory is? And because nobody ever knows what temporary memory is. Temporary memory is actually things like your own name, your address, your partner's name, your kids' names. That's temporary memory. The subconscious mind is home of imagination. And imagination is that part of us that fantasizes what it would be like to be on a warm, wonderful, sunny beach, or to be in a wonderful mountain meadow, or to be on a hot date. It's also the part of us that does the woe is me, ain't it awful, and imagining the worst things that are going to happen to us. The subconscious mind is the home of permanent memory, and permanent memory is our heartbeat. It's our breathing, it's our kidney and liver functioning, it's all our body functions that go on. That's the permanent memory. It's the home of emotions, anger, hurt, fear, sadness, love, happiness, joy. Those are all reside in the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is also protective. Its number one job is to keep us safe. Unfortunately, it's our subconscious mind, while it's the most powerful force known to mankind, it's also an idiot. It's not any smarter than this computer. Now, this little laptop computer that I have here is far more powerful than the computer that landed men on the moon and brought them home, but it's also an idiot. There's not a day that goes by where I don't want to hurl it through the window because it's only as smart as the operator. It only does what I tell it to do, not what I want it to do. And when you do garbage in, you get garbage out. That's how our subconscious minds are. If we're telling ourselves, woe is me, ain't it awful, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm no good, I can't, or whatever, it goes, okay, we can do that. If we keep telling ourselves about being sick and creating pains in the neck and all those things, it doesn't judge. It just goes, okay, I can do that. And as part of that protection, the other way it works is that we may learn something as a very small child that protects us and that made us feel good. Maybe we're a little kid, 3-year-old boy running down the sidewalk, and we stub our toe on a blade of grass, and we fall on the sidewalk and scrape our knee, and we're crying. Grandma scoops us up in her arms, holds us, loves us, protects us, kisses the tears and the boo-boo and all that unconditional love, unconditional acceptance anchored in touch as she holds us and hugs us and protects us and loves us. And it feels oh so good. And she gives us one of her homemade chocolate chip cookies to the exact same opiate receptors as heroin, again, anchored in touch, the whole bit. And man, it's just very powerful. And then here we are a few years later as adults, still stubbing our toes in blades of grass, but grandma's probably not scooping us up in her arms anymore, but man, is there that chocolate chip cookie that gives us that momentary sense of ah. But unfortunately, what one chocolate chip cookie used to do now takes the whole dozen, and obesity is a very serious epidemic on this earth. So what happens with hypnosis is suggestions are given. And in spite of what you might have seen in stage shows and in fairs, and maybe you've come to here to the States, to Vegas, no matter how deep in hypnosis I take you or anyone else takes you, we can never make you do anything you don't want to do. If I give you the suggestion to go rob the bank and bring me the cash, the only way you'll ever consider that suggestion is if you're a bank robber. And if you were truly a bank robber, you wouldn't bring me the cash. So let's assume you're not a bank robber, and you don't think that's a good idea, and you don't want to end up in jail, and you're certainly not about to bring me the cash. You're just not going to accept that suggestion. So any suggestions that aren't in harmony are going to be rejected by what we call the critical factor. It's really the conscious mind that takes a look at that and says, I'm not going to do that. On the other hand, if the suggestions are harmonious, take in a deep breath, close your eyes, relax and let go, and you decide you want to do that and you want to relax, then it's like a hot knife cutting through butter and goes into the subconscious mind, and whatever the subconscious mind imagines to be so, the body responds accordingly. Okay, Stephen, next slide, please. So the shape of this figure makes a square. Well, that's a rectangle there. And you probably looked at it and went, huh? Well, that's what I was talking about, is no matter what suggestions that I give you, if they're not inharmonious, you're not going to accept them. Again, if I gave you the suggestion to go rob the bank and you're not a bank robber, you're going to go, huh? I'm not going to do that. So no matter how deep in hypnosis you are, you're just not going to do anything you don't want to do. Next slide, please. Again, the sky is green and the grass is blue. Well, of course it isn't. And no matter if you don't want to believe that, no matter how many times I repeat it or how deep in hypnosis I take you, if you don't want to believe that, it's just not going to happen. Next slide.